Hey, it's CurlyHairedVanguard, and today I'm gonna give you guys a somewhat simple, free-to-play guide for Vanguard 0 now that we're in the G era. So what exactly does G era mean? Basically, similar to, let's say, something like a Yu-Gi-Oh! And a Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, there was a Cardfight Vanguard, and then there's a Cardfight Vanguard G, which is just a sequel series. And similar to that, Vanguard 0 is going through the G era, so it's using all the new G era characters and cards and so on and so forth. Because of this, the game has sort of changed quite a bit from before. But in general, I want the short purpose of this video to go over sort of like tips, tricks, hints, etc. for just being able to get the cards that you need and the stuff that you need in order to actually be able to play this game. If you already play the game, if you have some relative experience with playing this game, video might not be as helpful for you. I'm not gonna go over any super secret tech that I've been using or anything like that. It's probably a lot of the things you've been seeing in a lot of other videos and you've discovered for yourself. So this is more towards either returning players that maybe touched the game way before and dropped it and maybe are considering coming back, or that are just jumping into it right now. So I guess I'll just start by saying, obviously Cardfight Vanguard is a card game. Cardfight Vanguard 0 is a mobile version of this card game. It's not exactly the same. You can play it on iOS and on Android, and you can also play it technically on your computer. We don't have a official client, so something like on Steam or anything like that, but you can play the game through BlueStacks. I feel like I'm some sort of ambassador for BlueStacks or some sort of secret sponsored person by BlueStacks, 'cause I'm always pushing BlueStacks on people, but BlueStacks is great. It's how you're viewing the game now on screen. It's how we use it to stream. Essentially just lets you emulate an Android device on your computer, which then lets you download Vanguard 0 and play it as if it was on your phone, but instead it's on your computer. You can also use the same account, so you can use your same account that you have on your phone, transfer it over to the PC, and then progress on both of them. You just can't have them logged in at the same time. I will say there are some people that experience issues with it, so make sure you download it, give it a shot, see if it works for you, mess around with the settings, etc, etc. I've never had any issues, aside from maybe 1 or 2 times, and sometimes it'll start up and the game won't start, but that's kind of about it. Nothing too serious, but a lot of people have experienced lag and stuff like that. So just wanted to give you that disclaimer, I guess. So in general for this video, we're not going to be going over how to play Vanguard. That'll be a completely different video all in itself. This is just for someone that already knows how to play Vanguard, but wants to try and actually get, make the best use of their time and try and get, cards so they can play the decks that they want. I'll go over 3 core things, which I guess will be the gems, the actual getting cards, and then crafting materials. All right, so those will be 3 points in and of themselves. In general, I don't really have a script. I just have bullet points that I go through them. There's a lot of them. I'll try to go through them really quickly. So pause the video, go back if you need to, because I tend to talk really fast. Before that, I will give just some general quick tips. The usual ones, for one, try not to play multiple clans. Clans being sort of main archetypes that you'll play in this game. Try to just stick to 1 or 2. It'll make things a lot easier for you, unless, again, you want to pay money. This is strictly speaking, if you're not looking to pay any money, just pick 1 or 2. If you find one that you really like, stick with that one, and then try to pick up something like either Gear Chronicle, War Paladin, Kagero, something like that gets supported a lot and it is, relatively good, just so you have something to fall back on in case maybe the clan you picked is not getting support, or the support is not that great, so you have to wait a little bit more, just so you still have something to play. Because those 3 are generally pretty easy to play, are generally really meta relevant, and pretty much always get supported. If you don't know what clan to actually pick, the best advice for that is there's actually a lot of different ways to sort of figure that out. You can, for example, just go through all the cards if you really want to do that. Even if you don't own the cards, you can read them and see, generally what the playstyle is like. You can start reading the grade 3s and the strides. That should give you a general idea how that clan or that deck might play like. If not, you can watch, YouTube videos. There's plenty of YouTubers out there that make a lot of content, myself included, but there is such as Different Fight, and there's also Entropy. I'll have both of their videos, or rather their channels and stuff, as much as a bunch of other stuff linked in the description, as well as in a pinned comment in case I need to change anything, and that might be a little bit easier for people to see. But you can definitely take a look at what they do with the decks, and you don't have to take it as like Bible for how they build their decks. You can just use it as a way to see how a certain clan or deck plays and sort of their thoughts on it, and then use that to inform your decision. And there is also one small little option that you can do in game. If you go to the menu, you can go to Challenge Fight. This was something that they used to do before, but they've stopped doing it in the G era. But basically, whenever a new set came out, I think they stopped before the G era, but whenever a new set came out, they'd actually give you sort of fights that you can do and to test out the deck, and you can get a sort of general feel for how that clan and that certain deck plays. So you can definitely go through all of these. You should go through them anyway because they give you a little bit of gems. So, and the last general tip is just try to have fun. It's a game. Don't take it too seriously. Vanguard's supposed to be fun, and just try to believe in yourself. Okay, so first section, we're gonna go over gems. How to get gems in this game. You need gems in order to basically do anything. It's your paid currency. It's also your not paid currency. They have this distinguishing feature of paid gems and non-paid gems, but you use them for the same thing. Sometimes for the like super bonuses, you can only use paid gems. But in general, you're going to be using this either for stamina or for getting new cards, right? 100 gems equals a pack of cards. A pack of cards is 6 cards, right? So here are a couple of ways that you can get gems. First off, let's go here to Fight. This is the most, I guess, consistent way to get it, is to do it by ranking up. You definitely want to get out whatever rank you are in and make sure you can make it to legend ranked, because the rewards in legend will always be a lot better, and you can definitely get gems that way. Right? If we take a look at the season rewards here, you can see that there are a lot of gems that you can get through just ranking up. They're not a huge amount, but they definitely do add up over time, which is really nice. And obviously, the higher you go, the more gems you'll accumulate over time, which is great. So definitely try and get to legend. There's also some legend rewards that you can get that you're missing out on if you haven't gotten there already. Then after that, this one's not as great. There's not really a reliable source. Let's go to, it's not info. It should be profile. There we go. And I can click here. There we go. We have the clan level up. So each clan has their own level. The max level I think is like 50 or 45. As you level them up, you get a few gems. You get like 20 gems or something like that. It's very hard to level this up. Each level or each fight gives you like 20, and you can see here I'm at level 20, and I have to do 100 out of 500, which is gonna take quite a lot, but it's just something to keep in mind of. So if you play one clan only, you'll level up that clan a lot quicker than maybe just splitting it out. So you might get gems that way. Just something to keep in mind. The next step, one of the more consistent ways that I found to get gems, if not through ranked, has been through the character fights. Unfortunately, this does taper out after a bit, whereas rank is sort of endless. You can keep getting gems that way. This, you can get it just kind of once, and then that's it, you're done. But for every one of these characters that you have here in the character fight screen, you can go to fight them, and instead of fighting them, you can actually go to story, and you can use these story keys that you get from fighting them to unlock these stories. You can go through them, learn a little bit about the character, but for the purpose of this video, more importantly, you will get 50 gems for each one of these that you complete. In general, they all have 6 episodes, and they all require overall 300 keys to unlock everything, because it starts out like 10, 20, etc, etc. The last one's like 100, so it ramps up like that. But the keys are pretty easy to get, and you can then get a grand total of 300 gems per character, which is pretty nice. And they release characters pretty often, which is good. But fortunately, again, once you go through all of them, that's, a gem source that you're tapped out of. Then the next one here is not so much sort of, it's sort of similar to ranked, where that it's not finite, but it's also not exactly something that's super reliable. Is the fighter's quest here. Whenever you get your grade to the next grade, I believe it's 50 gems that you get from that, which is really nice. In general, the fighter's quest is very important, and we'll get back to that in a bit. And as well, you'll also get 30 gems daily just for completing 3 of these quests, which is good, but again, we'll touch upon that in a little bit. And then there's just one more spot. This one's kind of crummy, right? Let's go here to the monthly deck missions. This is something new that they released new in shut up, Kamui, please. Should have turned off the voice for this. This is something new that they released in the G era. If you complete a deck that they have listed here, so every month they'll have different decks, it'll be based off what's in the current set. If you manage to have 100% of them, you get 100 gems, which is nice, but this is really unreliable. You would have to complete a full deck, right, which is not very easy, especially considering some of them require really expensive, hard to get cards, like these GRs that are really hard to get. You can't even get this card anymore, so it's kind of rude for them to even consider that, but it does give you 100 gems, so I just want to give you every way they can get gems. There is here the somewhat super shady way to get gems, which is really weird. If you go to purchase gems, you get this screen here, and did they move it? They might have removed it. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Seems like they removed it. I can't seem to find it. Originally, there was like a little thing you can click on that was like, oh, if you want to get some free gems, you can do all these weird shady things, like fill out all these weird surveys, buy these weird products. I don't recommend that. It's gone now anyways, it seems like, but some of the gems were good. If you're gonna do that, make sure you don't use like a real address or a real credit card, or don't give them any real information. But that was an option that existed. But I guess it's gone now. Then the last thing we have here, we're gonna jump over to shop 1. I think by default you start in shop 2. I'm not really too sure about that when you start up the game. But shop 1 is basically the first era of Vanguard, so you know, first series, whereas the shop 2 is the second series, G. From here, if you haven't done these already, you can go from here, go into the story, and there's a lot of stories you can go through. Go through the whole anime if you want to go through that, and catch up, figure out what Vanguard's all about. But each time you go through this, you get some packs and some gems. If you do it on hard, you get some gems as well. It also ties in to the other leveling up system that they have, which was the older one. Right now we have the Fighter's Quest, which is the thing I showed you that gives you 50 gems. Before that we have the Fighter's Grade, I guess, if you want to call it that, or just Grade. You can use this to level up as well, and it has certain missions that you would go through. This, I don't believe, gives you gems, though it might have. I'm not entirely sure about that one. And then that's about it. The only other way to get gems, other than the ways that I just mentioned, are through something like an event. There are some events that do give you gems, so that being usually the non-clan events will give you gems and whatnot. That's usually like the dice rolling one. Other than that, getting gems is kind of rough. I probably should have started saying that in the beginning. Getting gems is pretty rough. Playing this game free to play is kind of rough, especially if you are trying to, for example, play a lot of different clans or anything like that, which is why I said just stick to one. But overall, that's, as far as I can remember, everywhere that you can get gems in this game. So moving on, let's go to cards. How can you get cards in this game? Well, obviously you would use your gems or your tickets in order to get cards. In order to get cards, you would go to the shop here, and you can go to the gacha. Unfortunately, it is a gacha game, but it is a little bit better than what it used to be. I'll explain what that means in a second here once it loads. But essentially, they've updated the sort of storefront, if you want to call it that. Originally, what you had to do is you would just open packs and you would have a random chance of getting certain cards. Now it still is that, but it has a sort of box format, so you can theoretically get all the cards you need by going through, you know, the entire box, whereas like before, theoretically you can get none of the cards you need if you just had really bad luck. In addition to that, you can also reset boxes once you get the stuff you need, which is usually for these GRs, right? So typically what you want to do is, when you open for the newer sets, is you want to go with a certain clan in mind, or I guess you could try double clans if you want to try that, and then try and see if you can get the GRs for that certain clan that you're looking for. GRs being the highest rarity, they're very difficult to craft. You want to try and pull these. You don't really want to craft these. If you can craft them, great, but you're probably not going to be able to craft a lot of them. So you want to try and pull these. There's only one of them per box, and once you pull them, you can just go ahead and reset your box, right? So for example, let's say you want to play Warrior Paladins. There's just one Warrior Paladin GR in this box. Once you get it, you can reset the box. Same way, like I've already pulled a Link Joker GR here, I should reset the box. Don't care about anything else and just keep doing that until you get what you need, right? If you're very focused in what you're trying to get, then you'll be able to get the things that you need, right? If you're trying to like branch out and try out different things, that's when things get really difficult and really costly. But that's how you can get cards. You can go back to the old way of getting cards. You just click on this symbol at the top here. Right now it says G, but it'll go back to Vanguard, and it'll show you the old sort of storefront, or the old way of doing sets and whatnot. There's also a clan gacha, which I would prefer you do instead. This has different sort of clans within, you know, different clans from different sort of sets in one box, whereas this just gives you everything for a single clan in one box. This is definitely preferred, and you should more than likely have about, if you start out, you probably have like 100 of these packs that you can use here. They do unfortunately use different packs here. So for example, we have these, I don't know what they call it, I think it's just gacha packs, right? You can use them only for this, those bluish ones. Whereas like now, each single set has their own packs, unfortunately. You can see it here on the box. So if I go into this box here, Soul Strike, I have 0 of them, but it's specifically that pack for this box, which is unfortunate. So that is, you know, roughly how the shop works. In terms of getting cards, you would do that. In general, you want to more than likely craft your cards, because you actually can craft cards in this game, which is really good, which is what makes the game a little bit more bearable, right? So going back to, let me just finish up on cards real quickly, and then we can jump over to talking about crafting materials, because they kind of loop in together. The best way to get actually cards is, aside from crafting them, is to do events. Every once in a while, pretty much always, there's always an event live, right? Right now there's like this event, which is a new kind of event, but doesn't really give you cards. In general, a lot of them are event clan events, which basically focus on one clan, and what you can do is you can build up tickets in order to fight in the event, and then you get tokens for fighting, and then you exchange those tokens for cards. What you need to do then is, if you like that clan, you can get all the good cards from that, you got a deck, you're good to go. And theoretically, you don't have to pay any money for this, right? Which is really good. If not, you can still participate in that event, get all of the cards, specifically the SP cards, so you can then deconstruct them in order to get more materials. We'll go over that in a little bit. And you want to make sure you make the most use of your fighter's quest here. By that I mean, right now, since there is no event, no clan event going on, I'm not really making use out of my fighter's quest other than the stuff for the dailies. But whenever you reach the max grade here, you get a full hit of stamina. So your max stamina here is 180 once you've finished your grade, right? Likewise, when you max out your grade, you get a full, you get extra stamina, plus you get a full amount, which is really good. You want to make sure you use that wisely, because in order to participate in the events, you have to do character fights, which give you tickets that you can then use to participate in the events. So you want to make sure that you use your stamina as well as you can in your refreshes. So when you get more stamina, right, when it goes over, you want to make sure you use those wisely so that you can maximize the amount of tickets that you can get. That is saying that, for example, on these down periods, maybe don't focus so much on trying to grade up as much, so that when an event comes near, you can actually grade up really easily, right? Stuff like that. Make sure that you only do the quests that are gonna give you a lot. Like we have this 1-star quest, which isn't really great. That's not really gonna help me a lot. So you can use some stamina. I think you get like 3 or 5 of these per day to swap it out for a better quest, which will give you more rewards. Unfortunately, this is a 1-star one. It'll give you this reward here, which is equal to your level for your grade. So 100, if I complete this, I get 100, and then I'll have be a lot closer to 64, which is my grade right now. So in general, that's what you want to do. Just want to make smart use of that. You can get additional quests. You can have 9 at a time. You can do, I think, spend 30 stamina in order to get 3 more quests, which is really good, and then try to complete those. You just want to make sure you do a good balance of that, and make sure that your stamina is never full. You want to make sure that the clock is always ticking whenever you can. And that's generally it when it comes to cards. There's really not a lot of ways to get free cards, unfortunately. There is a couple of ways to get free packs every rank season, which is every 2 weeks. There is a VP reward, which basically as long as you're playing the game, just doing ranked or doing whatever the case, you'll accumulate VP, and given how much VP you have, you'll get rewards. Those rewards are usually packs, which is really good. So you definitely want to do that in order to get packs, which will then in turn give you cards. And then you can actually also, going back to your quest here, once you complete it, you also see that you get this red coin here. You can actually exchange that for packs as well. But in the exchange, you'll actually see that every month, it refreshes every month, you can get 5 packs of any of the last previous sets, which is really good. So you can keep that in mind. I already have enough for like 10 packs, which is really good. So you want to make sure you make use of that as well. Alright, so that does it for getting cards. Not really much to talk about there, but that's because it's mainly going to be going over crafting stuff, right? So you can very easily craft cards in this game, which is what makes this a lot more playable than some of the other mobile gacha games, or any gacha game in general. What I mean by that is, if I wanted to, for example, I probably have to go to a different clan. Let's go here to Genesis. Let's say that I played a lot of Genesis, that was a bad example. I wanted another copy of this card here. I can just go ahead and craft it using the materials that I have accumulated here, right? These materials accumulate through the character fights that we showed earlier. And this material here, you kind of just get it from doing stuff. It also accumulates from character fights. I think you also get it from VP and whatnot. But each of these materials lets you craft a specific type of card. So the basic material here lets you craft common cards. This one here lets you craft rare cards. This is for double rare cards, and this is for triple rare cards. And then this last, like Saturn looking one here, is for GR cards, right? You can tell which cards are which pretty easily just by looking at them. You'll get used to it eventually. But the common cards are the one that have the sort of bronze looking frame here. So this is a common here. This is the one you would use for this material. This silver looking frame is actually rare, so you would actually use this material for it. And then your double rare is a sort of more golden color, which is this card here and this card here. So you use this round spear here for that. Then your triple rare are the like rainbowy diamondy color here. This uses this material here. But unfortunately, it's not just this material, it uses a combination of the previous materials. So to be exact, in order to craft a common card, you need 100 of these. In order to craft a rare card, you need 100 of these. In order to craft a double rare card, you need 100 of these, and I think it's 200 of these. And then to craft a triple rare card, you need 100 of these, 200 of these, and then 400 of these. So it's not as simple as just getting one type of material. You need to get several of them in different quantities. This used to be kind of annoying to accumulate, but it's actually not that bad. It's actually really easy to get it right now. The one that's a real pain in the ass is the GR material. These are impossible, just about to get. I've crafted 2 GRs, and I've been playing the game since start, right? I play just about every day. I've crafted 2. Right now, I'm nowhere near. I'm a little bit over halfway to crafting a third GR. And that's it. No more GRs can I ever craft with the current materials that I have. So in general, when it comes to crafting, just try to craft the cards that you need. Don't craft SPs unless you're trying to be fancy. SPs are just shiny versions of card. SPs are just as good as normal cards. If you pull an SP, that's great. Pretend that's just a normal card. Don't have, for example, 4 copies of a normal card and 4 copies of an SP. What you want to do is deconstruct your SPs because they'll give you material. This card specifically I got from an event, which means now I can deconstruct it. If I were to deconstruct all of them, I'd actually get 800, which is almost a fifth of a GR, which is really good. Which is why you want to make sure you do that for all of the event clans. Try and get as many of the SPs as you can, just so you can go ahead and deconstruct them, get the materials which you can then use to construct your GRs. Thankfully, GRs only are crafted or are only used to craft GR cards. You can also use them to craft some of the some specific cards, but it's really only used for this, which is really good. So let's go ahead and go back really quickly. So that's basically a quick run through of how crafting works. We're gonna go back there to talk about it in a little bit. There's one thing that I wanted to talk about, which was the fighter's quits, which I was mentioning was really important for crafting. The reason this is really important for crafting is that you want to make sure that you, similar to the event, you use your stamina refills very well in time with your character fights, right? So what I mean by that is if I go to the home screen here, there's 2 home screens, by the way, or 2 sets of character fights is what I'm trying to say specifically. There's one for each shop, which each has its own different characters, right? So if you want to play Warrior Paladins, you want to make sure you beat up Aichi here, and trying to get as many materials as you can from him. Then you can go ahead and switch over to card shop number 2. And make sure you beat up this little blonde kid over here a bunch of times, right? Because he'll also give you Royal Paladin material. You'll know by the color and the look of the material, but you'll also see it under their name here. It's kind of small, but if you're more familiar with the series, you'll know right away, oh right, this guy, he's the one that plays Royal Paladin, right? So you want to make sure that you use your stamina refreshes, so that's when you complete your grade and it gives you, it gives you basically your maximum stamina no matter how much you have. So if you have 200 stamina, or sorry, if you have, let's say, max stamina at 180, it'll give you 180 stamina, right? Even if you already have 180 stamina, it'll go over and you'll have extra stamina that you can use, which is good. But you want to make sure you use that. You don't want to stay at extra, because then the clock is not going to count down, because it's like every 5 minutes you get 1 point of stamina. So you never want to stay at full, right? You want to make sure you use that. But you want to make sure that you use your character fights with your stamina on the characters that you need. So if you're only playing Warrior Paladins, use it on Warrior Paladins here. You can get only 5 fights for hard and very hard, which gives you each of the materials that you need in order to craft a triple rare, which is really good. Likewise for the other side, on the other shop against Aichi. So you want to make sure you use that. You also want to make sure you make use of the character fight drops. This isn't as important, I think, as it was before, because before, how character fight drops worked was like certain days of the week, certain characters had guaranteed drops, because if you fought a character on a day that the drops weren't guaranteed, you would get a random chance of what materials you would get, so you can literally sometimes just get nothing, right? You can only fight these characters for that in that difficulty 5 times a day. You can give it a shot and then just get nothing. Now I think you just always get a guaranteed amount, and then if it's a guaranteed drop, when they have the little arrow, you get a little more, right? And then on weekends, right now I'm recording this on a Saturday, that's why everyone has the arrows going up, right? So you can fight anyone. So you definitely want to try and see if you can make the most use of it on a weekend. So you can definitely hit up everyone. So keep the weekends in mind, and then whatever the specific days are for your character or your clan, I should say more specifically. I generally don't use my gems for buying packs as much. I kind of actually use them for stamina. You can spend 100 of your stamina, 100 of your gems to get more stamina, which I then use to grind against more characters in order to get more materials to craft cards, is usually what I'll do. In addition to that, if you grind against the G era characters, you'll get the story keys that I was mentioning about that you can use to unlock their story, which gives you gems. But once you unlock them, you keep getting keys, and there's not really anything you can do with them, except you can actually exchange them for materials, which is good. So right now, if I were to go to the item exchange here in the shop, I can go ahead and look here, and not here, go to here, story key, and I can exchange my current story keys. So I had like 600 something for Chrono, or the Gear Chronicle guy, the first guy here, 700, right? And I can exchange those and actually get 79 of the triple rare material, which is good. So you can actually make use of that, which is nice. So that's another way to actually get crafting material. In general, you want to make sure you craft cards instead of trying to pull cards. It's obviously a lot more consistent. If you are pulling cards, you want to make sure you do a couple of things. So you want to make sure you do what the kids call pre-crafting. And typically we do this at the beginning of the month when a new set drops. Before we go to the new set, we make sure that we can craft as many of the new cards as possible. So what that does is when you go and you actually go and open packs for the new set, you're going to open up cards of the ones that you already crafted. So usually like the commons, right? You try to do those at least, and then whatever else you can. Once you open up those cards, rather than giving you those cards, they'll actually be translated into this generation material, which is one of the ways that you can very easily get this material is by opening packs and then getting cards that you already have, right? Likewise, if you do it in the first shop where they had the clan gacha, if you get packs, or rather if you open packs and you get cards from, or you get cards that you already own, they become these materials here, right? Which is really good. So both of those are really good ways to get those kinds of materials. So you just want to try and pre-craft all your cards, especially like, let's say, the good example for this is, let's say, Pale Moon, right? Pale Moon is one of my favorite clans right now. It's gonna get support next month, in a few days actually. I'm all set to craft a bunch of the triple rares, right? I can use a bunch of my materials here in order to craft them. That way, when I go into the set, I'm only really going in for the GRs. Once I get the GRs, I'll reset, and I'll keep resetting until I get all the GRs I want. In the meanwhile, I'll get a bunch of the triple rares for Pale Moon. Let's say I only craft for Pale Moon, and I will then have those turn into generation material. Once I get that generation material, whatever GRs I don't get from pulling them, I can try and craft them. Or at least that's the general concept. I'm not saying it's like foolproof and you're gonna get everything super easy, but in general, crafting is easy as long as it's not for a GR. Then the very, very last point that I'll bring up here very quickly is going to be something that kind of only really applies to newer players, brand new players here, is you have this super deck here, which is the equivalent, I guess, to like buying a structure deck or something like that. Existing players, they get one token that they can use to exchange for one of these, and then brand new players, they get two of these, right? I think brand new and like players that haven't played a long time, one of those two, you get two of these that you can exchange for any nation. They have their own super decks, which has a set of cards in them. Do not want to buy, thank you very much, because they're super expensive. Do not buy these. I know this is a free-to-play guide, but do not buy it. Absolutely do not, right? But it gives you a bunch of cards here, right? What's good about this is if you want, you can technically just craft some of the cards you have here and then use your token to get the cards, and it'll actually turn it into materials as well. But overall, you want to definitely try and use your tokens to get the super deck for the clan that you like. Gear Chronicle is one of the good. Stop trying to get me to spend $30 because it has the most amount of cards, and a lot of these cards are actually these are the newest cards, right? And they're also really good cards. So that's definitely the most value for your tokens. But if you, for example, are somewhat returning and you have a lot of these cards already, and you only want to play, let's say, Warrior Paladin, and you already have most of the cards from the super deck, you can still use your token and use it to get materials, is what I'm trying to say here. There's also one more thing sort of related to that. It's not available at the moment, but there should be one that's going to be coming up in maybe like 3 months, which is just called the Fighters Collection, which is this huge set that has a bunch of support for like a bunch of clans, right? Last time they supported every single clan in that one box. In addition to that, they gave us a whole free box, right? They gave you a bunch of missions that you can do in order to get packs that equated to a whole box of that set. That set was really good for giving you materials, because a lot of these cards you would get multiple times when they were also really high rarity, right? Everything in that set was double rare or above, right? So it was really good for also giving you materials. So that's something to keep in mind. In general, you want to keep in mind the things that I just mentioned. Also try and plan ahead. We have the sort of saving grace in that if you're playing this on the global side, which is, in English, and I think it's only in English. Might only be in English. I don't know if it supports other languages. But in the global server, we're actually behind from the Japanese server, so we get the updates after them. But this also means that we can take a look at what's going on the Japanese side and then plan accordingly, right? So we can take a look, know that if we're playing Royal Paladins, they're not going to get supported next set. We don't care about next set. We move on with our lives, right? We know next set is going to give us really good Royal Paladin stuff. We're going to make sure that we grind beforehand, so that when that set drops, we're able to get stuff, right? So using the tips and tricks that I gave you here, plus anything else you find online, and just planning ahead is really the key to trying to grind out and enjoy this game. And if you're not having fun with it, if you don't feel like doing all the work, then just don't do it. Just really don't do it. You can pay for it if you want. That is sort of the exchange you can do instead of spending your time. Or you can just not do it. I mean, I'm not going to force you to do all this stuff. It may seem like a lot of work. You don't have to do all of it all at once or anything like that. But I just, again, I want to give as much knowledge as possible while word vomiting, because I didn't really script this very well. But I think that'll do it for me today. If there are any more tips and tricks that anyone has, please type them down in the comments below. If there's anything that I've made of missed or misspoke on, let me know as well. Or if you have any questions about anything, again, let me know. In general, I wanted to make this video because on stream, whenever I stream this game, I usually get some some questions that I try to answer on stream. Sort of what it's, just questions from newer players, like how do I do this, how do I go about this, etc, etc. So I figured I'd probably just make a video about it. But in any case, take care of yourself.